Bernishkik.
Boniški.
Bernishkik.
Bozicnik, like
Bozicnik. Bozicnik.
like do it in French there, actually, like
Bozicnik. Bozicnik. Okay. Okay. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Scientifically Beautiful, which is on the Life is Tough, but You Can Be Tougher Network. Hi, this is Dr. Christina Rahm. I'm coming to you from Nashville, Tennessee. And this is Scientifically Beautiful, my podcast where I get to interview amazing people from throughout the world that talk about science and medicine and nutrition. And today, even though I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, I have the privilege of introducing Dr. Tina Bronishkik. I'm going to let her say her last name because I don't do it justice. And I also don't do her justice when I say the things I'm getting ready to say about her because I have a world of respect for her. She is a medical doctor and a pediatrician in Slovenia, and she's been Pediatrician of the Year 2 years in a row, and recently found out that she was voted again Pediatrician of the Year. And she is in the International Science Nutrition Society with me, and a dear friend, a wonderful mother, and a wonderful wife. And we're going to talk about her life and what she's done. And I hope that everyone throughout the world gets to know her a little bit better. Hello, Dr. Tina. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me. It's such a privilege being here and an honor, really.
Well, I think the world of you, and you've done amazing things. You are a beautiful person inside and out. And often when someone has accomplished so much like you, and I'm going to let you tell the audience a little bit about yourself in a second, but a lot of times when someone has accomplished these things and looks so beautiful and is so composed and has such a strong education, people think their life has been easy, but that's not the case. And one of the things I've always loved so much about you is that you've been such a support for me, because I've gone through tough things in my life. I've been criticized. I've been hurt. It's been hard sometimes, right? As a mother and in my profession, and you've had the same experiences. And there's been times when things happen to you and I jump to your defense as well, because I think one of the things about life when it's tough is you've got to have this tight circle around you that have the same mission and cause, and will be there no matter what. And that's what I have found in you, and I'm very thankful for it. And it makes me want to cry because I'm so excited to get into your story. But we're going to talk about you as a mother and a wife and lots of different things, but I would love for you to start and give a little bit of a background about your life. You can start when you were younger or whenever, but I want people to understand a little bit about you because, again, my hope is that they get to know you a little bit better.
Thank you so much. And thank you for all those beautiful words. I mean, the feelings are mutual, and you know how it is. You are who the closest people you spend the most time with are like. So you are, the average of, once I heard you're the average of the 5 people I spend most time with. So I'm so happy and honored that I have an opportunity spending so much time with you and right now on this podcast, because I truly believe about that. It's not just the epigenetics or not just the law of attraction, everything. I know you're spiritual. I'm a spiritual person. And it really does matter. But yeah, something about me, I am a medical doctor. I'm a pediatrician from Europe, from Slovenia. I'm also a functional medicine doctor. I also have a degree in traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture. And I'm doing also a fellowship in functional neurology, functional developmental neurology, which is really going more in depth in functional, basically functional brain connections and all those things, because I am a mom, and I'm a mom of a beautiful little girl. She will turn 6 in October. And we had some problems, and my basic pediatric knowledge at certain point didn't couldn't give me an answer what's going on with her. He was hypotone when she was a baby. She didn't have a sucking reflex. We were really struggling to feed her. Her mouth was really, really sensitive. So she was refusing a pacifier. She was refusing to be bottle fed. So we had a lot of problems. And then I am a little bit like, I'm like you. I was always looking for the root cause. I always wanted to get to the root cause of all the problems. And I remember in medical school once I was asking one of the professors, I said, okay, I know when treating autoimmune diseases, of course, especially with thyroid problems, of course, we have to give the people their hormones and restore the hormone levels. But why aren't we then looking for the root cause of the problem? And then this professor said, oh my God, my dear young colleague, you're still full of enthusiasm, and you'll see in a couple of years, this will go away, this will fade away. Well, it didn't. And I kept on searching. And when those things started to happen with my daughter, I started to see a lot of connections with other kids that I was treating. And then I was going really deep, first functional medicine, nutrition, gut health, gut-brain connection, and then going deeper into really this functional developmental neurology, where it's not just pediatrics, it's actually also a lot about adults who have ADHD, schizophrenia, depression, and other problems, and how this is actually really how this really started in their childhood, or better, in the womb. So this is what I'm focusing really now, joining all the knowledge I have about detoxing, supporting our bodies in a natural way, really supporting our bodies so that they can really they can renew, and that our bodies can come to their basic level of health, and how our bodies can really kind of regenerate themselves, because this is a possibility of our body. So yeah, and also some things I don't know even if you know about them, and it was, I think, just 2 years ago I started really speaking about that. I had anorexia. My life indeed wasn't really easy. Twice I got it was really, really severe in a way. I don't know, in your measurements, I'm 175 centimeters tall. This is 5'7", I think.
Yes.
I don't know,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
And I had like around 43 kilograms.
Wow.
This, I don't know how many pounds.
Yeah.
So, yes, and I relapsed twice, and I got better actually without medical help, but with my mindset and really working on myself, and working to really on my personal development. It kind of all started before that. This was in my teens, late teens, and beginning of my medical school. And back then I already had some knowledge about thyroid disease, and I was faking. I had hyperthyroidism because of that. Yeah, I had a lot of dysfunctional relationships with my parents, especially my father. I had the feeling that they of course, they gave me all they could, their love, in such a way that they thought that I'm going to need it. But I had a feeling that they don't know me, they don't hear me, they don't listen to me. And they were kind of, in a way, my mom was really a helicopter parent in a way. And I needed much more freedom. So now, knowing what was happening before, how primitive reflexes and all the neurological things in the brain kind of come into account, and epigenetics and everything, now it makes sense, everything what was going on. And I'm so grateful that this actually happened to me, because all the obstacles, everything, I saw really that everything that looks really difficult at the beginning, or like when you're hitting a rock bottom, is actually a wonderful opportunity if you know how to take it, if you know how to. Of course, we are all upset, we are all emotional when this happens, but then you learn through all the experiences that you shouldn't be driven by emotion. You have to feel the emotion. You have to really live the emotion. And then you shouldn't be driven by the emotion, but just, go forward and learn what this is, what opportunity is God or life or universe, whatever you may call it, giving you with this. And of course, looking back, it's easier to see that. But I can tell you that all those things actually made me. They made me who I am today, the mother I am today, the pediatrician I am today. If I didn't have all these experiences, I wouldn't be here. I would be someone probably still battling with anorexia, with lack of self-love. I hated myself. I had the constant feeling that something was wrong with me. I remember once I stepped into a restaurant with my sister, and I had the feeling that all people are just, looking at me and are just, they see all the things that are wrong. And I felt so bad. And I didn't talk much about that. And then I said it was too strong. And I said to my sister, oh my God, I feel so bad. I feel like everyone is just looking at me and looking what's wrong with me. And she was like, you are crazy. I mean, you have such an energy. And whenever you enter the room, people looked at your energy, people looked at your spirit, people see you. They don't see all of your mistakes. I mean, you should feel totally different and totally opposite of that. And at that time,
Tina, I want to, I don't mean to stop you, but I want to stop you. I actually have never had this conversation with anyone, but that's how I always felt. And I would literally, had anxiety sometimes about walking into a room because I felt like everyone was staring at me. It makes me want to cry and talking about me. And I've always been I've gotten a lot better, but I used to be extremely uncomfortable. And I've never shared that with anyone. It was overwhelming to me, right? I literally was like, why is everyone staring at me? And felt horrible, right, about myself. And that's so odd because you were the only other person you're the only person I've said that to, but to hear you talk is exactly how I felt. And then I was actually, who do you tell that to? You were fortunate to be able to tell your sister and she could talk to you about it.
at that time, she was the only one I ever opened up to admit that. And it was just this brief conversation. We never kind of had it again.
Yeah.
And my feelings and this awkward feeling actually grew. It happened that if there was a crowded street,
Yeah.
I have a problem going through that and just walking on the street. And today I understand, studying functional neurology, what is actually happening. It's actually in functional brain, this balance. Having my left brain really strong and my right brain not keeping up with my left. So my left is taking over, ignoring my right. And the left brain is all about perfectionism. The left brain is all about really everything being kind of having rhythm, having everything in the right place.
Perfect. Yeah.
Perfect. Have to be on time. You have to do that.
Which is overwhelming because you can't be perfect all the time.
Yeah. And it's just the details, the details. Yeah. Sometimes some things feel on your skin, and some materials are not feeling right, and how you are actually, and sometimes even like feelings of anxiety, as you said, and not being good enough, not fitting in, happening. And yes, and this is how, and also, having the feeling that your family doesn't understand you and hear you, even though they were really doing their best. I had everything as a child. I wasn't living in a lack, I know, financially or things like that. There were moments later on, I was, I think at the beginning of my teens, where there were some financial problems also in our family. And but my parents always tried to really, I had everything and my sister had everything too. But it was just, how, and you see how those materialistic things, those material things didn't matter. What mattered to me as a child, as a teen growing up, was that my mom hears me, my dad hears me. And for a lot of time, I was refusing spirituality. I was refusing God because I was in this mode of a victim. Because why is this happening to me? Why do I deserve that? And then I went into kind of esoteric realm, started meditating, started searching for myself. Who am I? Who am I? Who is Tina? I mean, who am I basically? And then through that, I kind of came to this energy medicine, traditional Chinese medicine. I was always oriented towards the root cause. I knew there must be something. There is a reason for everything that's going on. And my mom had, she still has Hashimoto's, and I have Hashimoto's. And my sister, who has, I would say, a wonderful relationship with my mom, she didn't develop Hashimoto's. And I was like, why me? And then through all these years of searching for who am I and what's going on and the root cause, I came to an idea which I think is totally believable. Especially, I mean, a lot of doctors will probably think that I'm crazy, but I truly believe that I adopted this disease so that that my mom started seeing me, because that was the only thing we were like, and we all need this likeness. We need likeness
to feel accepted or understood, because I think just listening to your story, I had this perfect older sister who I love. And I'm like you, I had this amazing family. I can't complain, but I felt the same way. Like I was out of place. I wasn't part like everyone else. I was different and felt uncomfortable about that. And it makes sense that you somehow subconsciously adopted this so that you could get close to your mother. And I know I obviously, as a psychologist and counselor, as well as a scientist, I don't think you're crazy. I think that, but I do understand that a lot of people don't understand things like that, because I think it's more common than we think to have children in a family that don't feel accepted or understood. And then, and there's this is your story, but I just feel like regardless of who you are and what you accomplish in life, you want your mother's love. I mean, it's the best. I don't know how to describe this, because my sister was always closer to my mother as well. I always felt out of place. I was different, but that love is one of the most important things in life, I think. And so I'm sure, I believe you're right. Let me just say that. I believe you're right. And I think you're so, oh my goodness, I have always known this. You're so unbelievably good and brilliant and amazing. You figured that out, and most people don't. But please continue the story, because this is very interesting to me, hearing this. And it wasn't even what I planned to talk to you about, but I love this, because you feel like you basically adopted this because your mother had it. And how did that cause your relationship? Did it get better after that? Do you feel like it caused you to relate a little bit more?
Yeah, probably to some extent, but not to it didn't heal our relationship. Even though in my mind, when I came to this conclusion, I thought, oh my God, this is it. This is what we have kind of in common, what we have together.
Yeah.
And yes, and I was able to understand her, how she is feeling and fighting her symptoms, because we were just put on thyroxine pills, and that was it. And of course, the inflammation kept on going and devastating our bodies. And then when once I had really like my body collapsed and my hormones and everything, and then I said, okay, now I remember now I understand how she feels, how she must have felt for all these years. And now I get her, but there's the difference. She will remain where she is, and she is always remaining the victim. On the other hand, I never stopped searching. I never stopped looking for the root cause, and whatever I kind of learned, I put into practice immediately. So then I started, first I started with traditional Chinese medicine, acupuncture. I was trying to heal my body with that. And then, Ayurveda and all those things. And, little by little, I felt better. But until I really found functional medicine and I got all the explanations what's going on and how to support my body, I didn't feel good, and I felt depressed, and not just because of all the feelings we share and we had in common, but also because of my physical body wasn't working the way it should, my memory and everything. So yes, and I was a lot of times trying to help her with nutrition, giving her a lot of information, what to do, baby steps, how to feel better. And then she goes like, how even Hippocrates said, nutrition is everything. If you don't know how to heal someone's body, heal the gut. Start with the gut. And this is your food as medicine. Your food needs to be your medicine. So it's working on my body. It's working, fantastically. I tried to help my mom several times, and she goes like, oh my God, changing the diet. I think, as a human being, you should eat everything. You shouldn't be on a special.
Sounds like my mom.
I hate the name diet. I think it's just a way of living.
Yeah.
It's how you adopt a way of living. And once I was I had an interview, and there was another woman as well from Israel, and she said, why we all hate the name diet? Because it has die in it, and automatically we feel like, oh my God, die.
Give up something. Yeah, something's gonna die. Yeah.
Giving up all the pleasure, stop living. And it makes sense. So it's really, you have to adopt the new lifestyle. And it's not just about the diet, it's about mindset, it's about, your environment, it's about everything. So this is where our relationship is kind of, I still believe we have a lot of opportunities. I'm always open. My heart is open to and will accept, her whenever she would want to approach and create a different relationship. It's not a dream-like relationship, but in fact, it didn't help me a lot. Adopting this disease with really creating a better relationship with her.
But your life's not over. And so,
and it also it's a way, I came to I was suffering a lot because of that, and I had friends, and my best friends, who had those wonderful relationships with their moms, and I was always kind of missing that. But then I came to this conclusion, this really made me strong. And part of my healing process, even from anorexia, was, I remember I was in my apartment that I had when I was in med school. And my roommate, she was studying economics. And it's different when you're in med school or doing economics. And she was always partying and out and having fun. And I was studying my anatomy. And then I remember once I collapsed and I started crying, and I'm probably gonna cry now. And I was sitting in my room. I felt completely abandoned. I felt like I'm gonna, for the rest of my life, I'm just gonna be alone. That all the people abandoned me. The fact was that I was quite popular in my high school, and I had a lot of kind of friends who were really, they were not friends. They were just kind of, those kind of superficial relationships. But I was surrounded with a lot of people, and I always surrounded myself with a lot of people, probably because I didn't felt accepted at home. I didn't feel that I belonged, that I fit in, because I always had the feeling that something was wrong with me. And then, you start kind of, you have the tendency to gather people around you, to have this feeling of safety, to have And a lot of people, of course, they praise you. Some of the people praise you and things like that. And you get this positive kind of, in a way, those confirmations from the outside that you're looking always when you are struggling with conditions like I was struggling with. And all of a sudden, I went to med school. And I remember after the first week, we already had our partial exam in anatomy of the hand. And I was like, oh my God, all the other people are out and partying and enjoying their life. And I'm stuck here with my books. But this is me, my left brain. Okay, you have to, just go on, just go on. You have to just know you started it, you finish it. And this is like, I am the finisher. This is was really strong with me. And also perfectionist, which wasn't so good at times studying medicine. I remember I was sitting in my room and I collapsed and I was crying. I was crying like a baby. At the beginning, I felt like crying, but I couldn't even cry. No tears were coming out whatsoever. And I was like, oh my God, I mean, I have to cry. Where are those tears? And then I kind of relaxed and I just started crying. I was probably crying for 2 hours in a row. And at the beginning, I didn't even know why I'm crying. And then I said, okay, what is causing? I was kind of self-coaching myself, going deep. And then I realized, I said, okay, it's, I always kept, this answer was coming back, and I kind of heard this. It's like, you're afraid to be alone. I'm afraid. I'm alone. I'm afraid that I'm gonna just, stay here. I'm gonna be completely abandoned from everyone. And then it made sense. Okay, yeah, I have so many people around me because I'm afraid to spend time with myself. I'm afraid of being alone with myself. And why is that? And then all the things that I had, all those feelings came up about how I didn't fit in, how I'm in a way a loser, how I am always like 1 inch away from victory, and things like that, the things that kept really showing in my life before. And then I said, all of a sudden, there were no thoughts. It was just this complete peace. I didn't feel there was even like no pain, no emotions. It was just really completely blank. But I felt at peace. And this is what what probably Jesus and it was saying, the heaven is here on earth. It's here. It's the kingdom of love, and whatever Jesus was talking about is here. It's right here, right now. And I felt this peace. I felt that. And then I said, what if nothing was ever wrong with me? What if I denied everything, even what if everything even my parents told me was wrong? What if their perception of me was wrong? And I felt like I'm unable to fit in because they don't understand me. Not that I felt that I'm above them.
Right.
I felt like it's just they don't get me. In a way, it came as this feeling, I'm that one sort of a genius. What if I'm a genius? What if I'm a genius and they just don't get me? Like people didn't get Einstein, or people didn't get Tesla, or people didn't get, I don't know, other scientists in this world at the beginning.
And they probably didn't get you. Like Tina, I have to be honest. I remember when I met you, I did understand you. I felt an instant connection. But I remember thinking, I bet she's been through a lot like me. I bet she's felt lonely. I struggled with weight loss too. I got down to, I'm about 5'6". I got down to about 80 pounds one time. I was wearing I would have to go to the children's store. This is when I was working in pharmaceutical and biotech. I would have to go wear a size 10 or 12 children's clothes because I was so skinny. But I met you and I thought, she's so beautiful. She's so confident. She's got all of this education, but I bet it's been tough, right? I bet it's been hard because people probably were staring at you. People probably did look at you, and you had to find that strength somehow, because I bet, and I, again, I am a psychologist, so I'm just going to jump in. I bet they did not understand you. Do you know what I mean? And you know, I do, I'm like you, I'm very spiritual. I believe God makes us each different, but I think, and I've shared this with you before, it's very lonely being different and no one understanding you. And I think sometimes it's easier for people to criticize someone like that or try to hurt them or get rid of them because you're so different. And I see that in you. And I'm sure women get jealous. I'm sure men get jealous. I'm sure it's hard. And so I'm sure your path was not easy. But I have to say, and the audience doesn't know this, but you gave me strength one day, you know this, and talked to me. And I remember just crying and thinking, how does she know? You know, and then in my other side, I thought, because she's been there, you know, she's been there. And you really, you and Dr. Dory were two of the people that really gave me strength to not quit in my life when I was being attacked for a scientist, you know, that I am, by individuals that didn't even have an education, were criticizing my education. Um, and you were a source. You know, when I first did this interview with Destin on Life is Tough, which is why now we're doing this series, he asked me what made me go forward. And I said, the circle of people that I found, because I was like you, I surrounded myself with everyone. In college, I was in a homecoming, president, you know, all the stuff, because I think it made me feel better about myself. Right. But in the end, now, like, I'm sure you feel this way. I can't speak for you, but even with our International Science Nutrition Society, I feel safe. I feel understood. I feel like there's a group of us. Like, I know we're going to expand that group, but I don't even want to, because I love the group that we have. I'm scared to let anyone else in. And you were one of the people that gave me strength. I want to share that with you, because when they started talking about this series, I told Dustin about you, and you know, you were one of those people that kept me going. And I think if you wouldn't have gone through what you've gone through, you wouldn't have been able to be that for me. And selfishly, I'm thankful for your story, because your story became a foundation for me to feel supported. And I just want to say that publicly to you, because it was amazing. And you had no reason to have to be that person for me, but you were anyway. And you really stepped up and kept reaching out to make sure you were. And I just want you to know that, because you've had a hard life, and I can tell, because I can feel it and identify with it. And yet you kept going, and you found yourself. I think what I love is that you found a higher purpose, right? You found the reason, you found peace, and you found yourself along the way. And so many people don't on this journey, and you're a success because you found it. And I'm sure you still struggle. I don't want to end this part, but I do want to go into, before we get off this podcast, I want to go into some of the things that I've heard, you know, you criticized for, and how you handled it as it pertains to vaccines and different things, and how you as a very educated medical doctor used your experience from this background and what you've went through, to be this bright light that still, even though you've done all this stuff, you're the top pediatrician in Slovenia by many viewpoints, many journals, many, you know, the public, you still have criticism. There's still days that are tough. There's still days where, because you've done all this, because, you know, you're married to a very successful, I think, neurosurgeon, correct?
Orthopedic trauma surgeon.
Yeah, orthopedic trauma surgeon.
Working on you know, a lot of things with neurosurgeons, and some things on, you know.
But you have this great life, and I have to share this, and I don't want to get off this. I want to let you finish if you have anything else to say, but I do want to go into some things I've personally experienced with you and share with the audience how you handled it. And then, as being in a circle, I also handled it. Do you know what I mean? So I want to share this, because I think one of the things about the series, we're talking about medicine and science, but I'd love for people to know that when you go to a doctor, when you see a scientist, or you have someone that you're trying to criticize or attack, they're a person that's doing the best they can every day. And they've worked really hard to get there, but they still are an individual that's experienced a life that is not as easy as you think. And I know, I love the fact that we're doing this podcast, because I think people see you and think, oh my goodness, she's beautiful. She's got all this, accolades, but you're a person that's an amazing person that is so much more than what even people see. Like, I have so much respect because of that. And I'm glad we're sharing this, and we'll continue to share this with the world. But please finish this. And then I do want to go into a little bit about you being a pediatrician and some of the attacks you've had to deal with, and how hard that can be too, because you have an opinion, you're a doctor, and I'm a scientist, I have an opinion, and that can be tough too. But please finish that about your personal life, because I do want them to hear the rest of that as well.
Yeah, so there was that point where there was this peace, and what if nothing was wrong with me? And this became my mantra, my daily mantra. What if nothing was wrong with me? And then I realized, of course, I read a lot of esoteric books and a lot of, spiritual books and personal development books. I still am a personal development book, I would say.
I do too. I love it.
And then I said, okay, so kids are our greatest teachers, and everyone says that.
Yeah.
And then I said, well, it's just my parents didn't learn their lesson yet, because they, for some reason, of course, whenever there is growth, first, what you experience is resistance. And a lot of times this resistance is stopping us from, whether it's stepping out of your comfort zone, following your calling, for speaking your truth, being who you are. Allow yourself to have an opinion. Allow yourself to express how you feel, to be yourself, to feel comfortable being uncomfortable, because all those things are actually really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Speaking your mind and start living the life you want to live, not being a puppet of everyone else, because we live in a society where everyone else has kind of more knowledge about you and more information how you should live your life, even more than yourself. Right. And this is how we are programming. I mean, not me, but and I know you didn't program your kids that way too. Even unconsciously, we're doing that. We are kind of programming our kids. The society is in a way programmed like that, and you have to fit in. You have to kind of follow the rules of how other people live and how you should live your life. But really, it's I realized being a black sheep is actually fun. It's actually exciting.
I like that. Yeah.
And that's why I loved your pictures with Clayton, your images you did in black. And that's why we're talking about, some extraordinary science and haute couture science and things like that, because we are out of the box.
Well, yeah, because we're people too. We're not just, and I have had so many people, I had to do videos yesterday and stuff. I shared that with you about how I'm supposed to look, right? And they wanted me in a white lab coat, and that's happened throughout. And I'm like, yeah, but that's like a very small part of me. It's not, it's I have other sides. I like to dance. I know you do too. And it's okay. Right. And I don't know about you, but I sometimes still get stuck in this. I'm supposed to act professional. I'm supposed to act this way. I'm supposed to do that. And then after I was attacked for like what I had what my education, which, my goodness, and then who I was as a human being and as a mother, it was really, I was like, you know what, it's time that I'm me. And I wish if I could do one thing, I would go back 10, 20 years ago and I've realized that. Do you know what I mean? That it's okay to be me. It's okay that I make mistakes. It's okay that I think differently. And you and our phone call were very instrumental in that. You said to me, Christina, just be you. If people don't like you, then don't watch your things. Like if they don't like you, don't use your products, And it's funny, all the legal issues I've had, it's always two things. They don't like my education or my background or my CV, my resume, but they want to own my products, right? And I'm I'm like, well, which one is it? It's kind of like the experience that was brought to me about some people criticizing you because of vaccines. And I explained, well, my children have had vaccines. I personally, as a scientist that's worked for companies that make vaccines in the medical clinical side, I spaced them out, right? But they have, and I shared this with you, I've probably had more vaccines than any human being on this earth because I've been to over 80 countries and I had to have all these vaccines to go in, which is one of the reasons, with Clean Slate, I made a formula to try to get rid of heavy metals in the body, not just because of vaccines, because I do think there's a need for vaccines. I just think that you need to get the heavy metals out of the body while you're doing it to eradicate things so your body's healthier, and then restore it, back to what it should be. I just can't believe how much, we connect on that. And the group that we work with at the Science Nutrition Society, we connect. We're not against pharmaceuticals. We're not against biotech. We're not just nutraceuticals, not just supplements, not just food. We're the whole approach, right? Which is functional medicine. And I love that. But it's interesting because I had phone calls, people saying, I can't believe you're working with Tina when she gives children vaccines. And, this is something. And I explained, I've also had phone calls, by the way, of women jealous of you because you're so beautiful. And I had to show them the pictures of your husband, just stuff that you have to deal with when you're this extraordinary, you're extraordinary, you're different, right? You're beautiful and you're all these things. And, but I had to explain, that it's not one or the other, right? It's not black and white. We are a body, just like you have like a car and you can take, and this is a great point because I want to say this about you. You can take, like I drive a Tesla, right? You can take that to a mechanic or to the Tesla shop or let's say it's a Land Rover, Range Rover, whatever. Some people can't fix it because they're just used to doing standard things that every mechanic does. But there's other specialists you can find after everyone else said we can't fix your car that can make it brand new and look better than it was before. And that's the kind of doctor you are. And that's how I explained you that you have this multifaceted approach and you look holistically at the person and you treat each person in personalized medicine and you make sure that you take care of them because you're brilliant. You're not just a doctor that went to school and stopped learning. You are a doctor that has continued to learn throughout your life so you can treat people the best way that you can. And that does incorporate vaccines or people spacing vaccines out, as well as getting rid of heavy metals and toxins in the body naturally. Like it's just an approach that, this, a lot of doctors have not had the experience of continuing their education and going into Chinese acupuncture, functional medicine, and traditional medicine. Do you know what I mean? And you have. And so I want to bring that up about you because I say this all the time, Tina, you need to do telemedicine and you need to do your practice throughout the world because parents need a pediatrician like you that takes this approach. And that's one of the things that I hope I see in my lifetime is you becoming this beautiful star medical doctor that really does care about each patient, because that's really who I see you being. And parents need that because in a world where there is so much ADHD and autism and issues, you're definitely the number one pediatrician in the world I've met that I would go to for my kids. So, but I want to hand that over back to you because I want you to explain your approach to treating patients and how you take it personally, how you treat each person differently, because I want people to hear that about you because your story is amazing, but I also want to highlight so people know what kind of doctor that you are.
Well, thank you, Christina. I mean, it feels so, in a way, it's so nice to hear that from you because I have such a deep respect and admiration for you as a mother, as a scientist, as a friend. It's just I'm so honored to have you in my life. And, I just wanted to hear that. And I want all the people to hear that Christina is amazing. And it's just, I'm just crying right now. It's such an honor. And that you are saying that about me, it makes my heart sing. And really, so.
I mean it. Yeah.
And as you said, I'm all about personal approach.
Yep.
Because no, even in, I do also a lot of kind of parenting coaching in a way, helping parents to understand their kids. And this is why you understand now, because of my background, and I feel I can relate to those kids. And I believe that a lot of people are talking about how to handle temper tantrums, how to handle basically all sorts of behavior that kids are presenting, the negative kind of behavior, even if they're aggressive and if they are very angry, kind of attacking. And I always am saying we have to look at the root cause, because there is always a reason why a child behaves the way they behave. It might be just their brain imbalance, and we can work that. We can help and support their brain to start really working as one, all both hemispheres, and really start kind of being in balance and resonating instead of one just taking over. And this is a lot of times we can see that in behavior. That they are, and we know in the world we live in, if you open PubMed, there are tons of articles. And if you're like me, I'm that scientist, and I was attacked. I know you were attacked about your PhDs. I think you have 3 or 4. Well, I don't have a PhD, okay? I don't. I am just a regular MD with functional medicine, with doing this subspecialization fellowship in this functional developmental neurology. Okay, acupuncture and TCM. Okay.
Just a few things, Tina.
So this is me. And then I was attacked, just a few months ago in the midst of this COVID situation. I don't know if I'm even allowed to say this name, but in the midst of this epidemic, I said, it's enough. I have to go and start my own business and start my own clinic and start my own practice, where I'm gonna completely be myself as a doctor, and I'm gonna do my own approach, merging all the knowledge that I have. And I did that from one day to another. There were a lot of things happening before, and you have to come to this point.
Yeah.
And then I just went from one day to another. I resigned in my previous job, and then I didn't have a practice. I didn't have a place. I have no idea what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it, basically in 2 months. And next thing you know, I had my own practice. I found a place, like everything, when you are in alignment, and this is related, when you're following your calling, everything falls into place. But first, what you have to do is you have to believe, and you have to have faith. Without faith, nothing happens without faith. And I have this deep faith inside of me. And it started back then. Nothing ever was wrong with me. I am that genius, and you are that genius. And everyone who hears that, you hear me, you are that genius. We all are genius. We all are brilliant. We all are magnificent, and we all are unique. And this uniqueness, it's what makes you authentic and what makes you outstanding, extraordinary. And we all are extraordinary. And one of my friends says, we are not below anyone or above anyone. We are just our own unique. And I think this is really saying.
I love that. Yeah.
Yes. And when I decided that, of course, I was attacked, like, people, and especially people around the world. Bozicnik is really, really difficult to pronounce for you. So because I was doing online summits in English, and people started calling me Dr. Tina. So this Dr. Tina kind of, stood with me. And now people in Slovenia are calling me Dr. Tina. So, and then people started attacking me. She's calling herself a doctor, and she doesn't even have a PhD. But if we look the terminology, like even some people who are, I don't know, who are some, I think people who are lawyers, or they're
doctor. Yeah, like Jusha, in our group, she's a doc. But I was going to tell you this, Tina. So I was trying to explain this to people before. In Europe and in Asia, you call doctor the PhDs. In the United States, it's usually the reverse. It's the medical doctors, because every country is different. and you are a global doctor, not just a doctor in Slovenia. So that should not even be a question. And but it's more, and I'm sure you know this, it's more people trying to hurt you than really, I mean, because why does it even matter? Do you know what I mean?
It tells so much more about them than me. And then
Yes.
I'm thinking, I mean, yeah, I don't have a PhD because I am unique. And I don't want to have just this mediocre PhD. I mean, no offense to everyone. I admire all of the people who done their PhDs, and I know they're amazing, but I want to do something when I'm going to do a PhD. This is going to be like something completely new, changing the world.
You should try to, I'm not telling you what to do, but I would love for you to have something in detox or eradication, because no one does. I don't know where you would get that degree.
When I'm going to do a PhD, I'm going to do something like that. But when you look at my education and what I've never, and I remember I told you that, you know, it's not about your titles. It's not about your education. You've done it for yourself because you're like me. Whenever you start, you want to get to the root cause, and you're going to do this research and that, and going to learn.
That's why you keep going back to school. Yeah, yeah.
This book and this article and talking to these people, and you're being open-minded, so you hear other information, and then you start kind of collecting everything, and you know, everything falls into place. And this is who I am. And then, you know, I do have a PhD. You know what my PhD is? Is all of my education, my patients. Just today, one mother texted me and sent me pictures of her baby, who is now not having any signs of eczema. And he was having quite severe eczema before. And this is my PhD, and this is what makes me happy. This is what fills my heart. And it's not about the titles. It's you never done your PhDs because to get the attention of others, the approval of others, or confirmation. You've done it for yourself, and this is what matters. This is what matters. Who are you? Who are you for yourself? What do you how you love yourself? How you matter to yourself? And then then I just went my own way. And I always say no to people are the same, no to children are the same. And even you and me, we are living in different environments, and we know epigenetics, how this affects us, and this is a fact. I also love everything about, even all about science, but joining that in a holistic way, not looking at certain organs in our body just separately, but looking their interactions. And this is what Chinese medicine really, and Ayurveda really taught me, how to look, how they're balanced, how they're working, and how they're working with each other, and how basically our bodies are not just a sum of all the organs, but basically they're functioning as a whole, they're functioning as one. But no two people are the same. So, we might have one approach with one child with eczema and another approach with another, because it depends where their families are at. Because if they are eating just junk food and they are not, they don't have really nutrient dense foods at home, and we have to teach them how to eat that and how this affects their baby or their child, and how the mindset affects their child. I have two families that I said, okay, every week you have to watch the movie The Secret. You have to watch it. I don't care, because it doesn't matter when you are kind of, how it is, that everything is vibration, everything is energy. And if you are in that sort of negative energy, you don't believe your child could get better, you're stuck at your, this victim mode, you have to get unstuck. And how you get unstuck, you have to motivate yourself. How to motivate? You have to have a vision. You have to have a plan. You have to have a goal. Okay, our goal is the skin has to get better. What do I have to do in order to get there?
What do I have to try, right? Because it's when I've worked on formulas, and this, people will say, well, this worked for this one person, but not another. And my answer to that is go to the doctor, talk to them, because you're doing some other things that probably aren't right. It's not just one thing that cures everyone at all. It's not one formula. It's not one thing. You have to take this individual holistic approach. And I have to say this, when I hear people taking different products I've made, but then they're eating whatever they want the rest of the day, that's fine. I can't control that, right? But I just want people to know it may work at first, but you're not going to get the same results as someone that's actually eating, exercising, taking care of their body. And it's got to be hard as a doctor when someone comes in and you notice there's not a change, because in your heart, sometimes you've got to know, well, they're not to blame them, but there's some other things maybe that are missing, in that story. And maybe there's a deeper cause to the root of the issue, right? That you have to find as well. That's why your patients are they're very fortunate that they get to have you, because there's only so much time in the day. And when you're treating patients with your education, you're able to look at all these different things.
And we're always looking at all those things about their environment, mindset, as I said, toxicity, toxins. I mean, you open PubMed, there are tons of articles about how toxins affect everything, from infertility to eczema to ADHD.
Do they know that in Slovenia, Tina? I'm curious, because every country is different. I would not say that they educate on that a lot in the United States, even though the World Health Organization and the CDC and everyone talks about it. We understand the environment's toxic. We understand we're toxic. I still don't feel like it's taught as a scientist or as a medical doctor in almost every program. I mean, definitely it was never touched upon in my psychology programs or counseling programs. Strategic science, no. Rehabilitation counseling, no. Nanotechnology, yes. Nutrition, no. Pharmaceutical, no. Do you know what it's not touched on?
Because I finished my med school, I finished my residency, and even if you're opening this traditional, books for, let's say, pediatrics, or I don't know, any medical book, there is always sentence or two about toxicity and toxins and how they are, of course, part of our environment. And of course, in all the diseases, we have this multifunctional approach and different, we all know it's not just the genes, now we know about epigenetics, but also other things that are affected.
Yeah.
And also, your mind, we have so many. I love miracles. I don't know if you know that about me, but I love miracles. Since I was a kid, whenever people were sitting down and talking about a miracle happening or some, I don't know, spontaneous recovery or something.
Yeah, I love it.
I was all ears, and I always wanted to hear more about that.
Yeah.
And I truly believe it can be.
I've seen it in my career. Yeah.
And I truly believe that. But of course, toxicity is a problem. We never had, I don't know, any special lectures being lectured on how toxins actually affect the brain development. We never, in my education,
or parasites release neurotoxins in the brain. No one even talks about it in a typical education. No.
Exactly. And then, because of my problems, because of my thyroid problems, I wanted to get to the root cause. And then even before I started functional medicine, I was really searching for, what could be the reason. And then you open PubMed, okay, it has to be scientific. It has to be written in an article. So I'm going to go and try to search for something. And then you see how toxins actually, they affect a lot of things. And of course, if you have this predisposition in your body to be more prone to, let's say, autoimmune disease, of course, my body, and of course, not just autoimmune, especially thyroid, we all know the function of the thyroid in the body, protecting us, being this kind of protector of everything. And of course, yes, so I'm more prone to toxicity of any form, and not just toxins from the food or from, I don't know, from the air pollution, but also from toxic people. So this is what I came to realize later on, because you really are affected more, and my body doesn't know how to handle that. And of course, I have to handle that. And this was just my path, my journey. I wanted to recover. I wanted to get better. I wanted to, lower my dose of my medication. I wanted to get off at some point. I wanted to lower my antibodies. And I remember in med school, they were saying, of course, you can never get rid of auto antibodies because those are just generated. Well, I had two. I had TPOs and anti-thyroglobulin, and those are now negative, I mean 0, and TPOs, I don't know, just a small amount still present, but I'm working for it right now. I'm doing a microbiome study of my gut to see what's going on, to really support my body even more. And because, you know, I'm taking all of your beautiful and wonderful products and I want to see a comparison, what's going to be, you know, I'm sorry that I didn't, before I started using them, that I didn't do my microbiome studies before, and then, you know, a while later, but I'm going to do this now because I'm curious. I'm testing really everything on my family and on myself before I am offering anything to my patients. And of course, everything needs to be science-based. Because
you need to give that information to Dr. Dory for the Cypress Project, because you need to be over that for the Cypress Project and pediatrics. I'm serious, because we had to do this list of different tests we want and what we want to put in. So for functional medicine and pediatrics, she needs to have that. I don't want to forget to tell you that, because we had to make a list like TM flow, like there's different diagnostics I want to bring in. And because, you know, there'll be basically testing those, Tina, on doctors throughout the world. And so I would love for, I don't want to forget us to tell her those tests, because they ask a list of how we will deal with the patients. And that test should be given before they're on the products and then after. Do you know what I mean? So we can't forget to tell her after this call. We'll text on it.
I'll text her, no problem.
Yeah.
No problem. So this is basically my approach, is really taking everyone as an individual and going deep into their history, into their story.
Yeah.
Really looking for when the first symptoms started, what happened there, was any change in their environment, did they move, do they live near, I don't know, any factories now, what's the water quality they're drinking, like all those things, even relationships. So what's going on with the relationship, you know, what's going on in their, I don't know, in their extended family and those relationships. I'm going into all of that. And it's really not just, of course, primarily we're helping those poor kids, whether they're struggling with, I don't know, with some behavioral issues, whether this is eczema, whether this is, I don't know, something else, let's say ADHD. But it's really transforming the family. So what I see a lot is also that you have to have a certain level of mindset and a certain type of mindset to be able to work with me. Not that I am above anyone.
Right.
It's, you know, you have to
approach.
You have to be determined. You have to do whatever it takes. And if I say, okay, the quality of your water is really bad, you have to do something. You have to filter your water. You have to buy your water not in plastics, but, you know, in glass bottles, because this makes a difference, especially for kids. And I know there are a lot of doctors who don't know much about that. I mean, I do encourage you just to just be, you know, don't be biased, but what you know already, just be open-minded and open your hearts in a way, and just go and search PubMed and search, I don't know, let's say
it's arrogance not to search, Tina. I mean, I don't want to be judgmental, but when doctors learn one thing, or a scientist learns one thing, and they think they know everything, and they won't open up to learning more or understanding more, whether you go to Yale or Harvard or University of South Alabama, it doesn't matter, University of Slovenia, I don't care. You're learning from those teachers in that box, and there's a world out there. So I say this all the time. You need to go to a doctor that never stopped their education, that has continued to learn. And if you go to a doctor that just sees things one way, you're not getting the whole picture. And I don't want to criticize people. I'm like you, I understand. But if you really want to treat the patients the best, you don't have to even go for a formal education, but you need to learn and read, you know, and I think that the doctors that criticize the individuals that have this holistic education, it's because they haven't taken the time and they're jealous. I know lots of traditional doctors that aren't jealous. They will say, well, she probably knows more about functional medicine. She probably knows more about Chinese medicine and nutrition, right? But then there are some that are, and it's hard when your peers, you know, when your scientific medical community criticize you because you've just tried to learn more. But you've made it through that. I mean, I can't say, you know, I there's people I have that I look up to a lot in life. I feel like there's a group of people around me here on this earth and other people in heaven. Like I really always respected Gandhi. I always looked up to Mother Teresa. You know, there were always these individuals, and of course, Jesus. I mean, I looked up to these individuals that not just from a spiritual perspective, but from what they did with their lives and how they sacrificed, and their lives in some aspects were tragic. I mean, even if you look at Albert Einstein or, you know, Thomas Edison, all of those people, because they made a difference and they're pioneers. When life was tough, they didn't give up, right? And I have to end the call, and I hate this because we'll have to do another one, and we're going to anyway for International Science Nutrition Society. But I want you to know that you're one of those heroes. You are. And you're on this earth, so it's sometimes hard to see when you're here, when you're on this journey, but you are one of those people that people will talk about for years, for decades, because you have made advancements, not just in Slovenia, but everywhere. And you're young, you will continue to make them. We have a lot to do together.
And you know, you mentioned Thomas Edison, Mother Teresa, they were all extraordinary, and they were all black sheep. They were all black sheep.
Oh yeah.
Cool. And when you adopt this, it's actually, you're feeling good. And the more you get, you know, this negative, I don't know, opinions or attacks, the more you know you're doing the right thing. And when you adopt this mindset, it gets, I mean, there is not a day that I'm not afraid. Sometimes I'm terrified, but I do have my own faith. I stick to my faith, and I have my vision. And I'm just like, okay, just stick to that and just go. Don't think, just do, and just go. Just go on your path. And this is what it's, you know, a lot of people today are talking about leadership, how to be even an influencer or something like that. This is like became really, really.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Really modern today. And this is what being an influencer is, being a leader is. A lot of leaders, they were attacked, but they just started, and they followed their dreams, and they followed what they believed in, what they truly believed in, no matter what. And even I make mistakes, and I do admit sometimes I do. But okay, so what did I learn from that?
Yeah.
And this is the mindset you have to have. And if you don't want to get criticized, don't be good at what you do.
Yeah. You said that to me that day when you were like, Christina, you're going to be criticized. I remember so much, and I've said it multiple times on this podcast, the conversation we had. And I was like, wow, she's a lot wiser than me, and she's younger than me. I was like, well, when you're the one, and we've both been there with each other, seeing this and under the line of fire, right? It's hard when you're in the middle of it. But you're right. You just can't give up. You have to get out of bed. But there's many days I've thought, do I really have to get out of bed today and deal with this today? Do I want to deal with this today? But it's that drive and that passion of really wanting to make a difference and do things the right way. So I am so sorry that I'm ending the podcast. We have lots of great materials. I've talked to you longer than anyone, and it's going to be fantastic. We may have to turn it into 2 podcasts, but I appreciate your time, and I look forward to the future together, as we actually are going to work on formulas together, and we are going to work with different countries together. So I'm very excited. Us being on the advisory board of a society is a dream for me, but us doing the other things we're going to do in the future is as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you, and have a wonderful day or evening. It's evening there.
I'm packing. I'm off to to vacation tomorrow.
Oh, good. Where are you going?
We're going to Croatia.
Oh, I love Croatia. I'm jealous.
You have to come. I told you, you need to come. You have to book your flight.
I know, but with all the stuff with the pandemic, I'm supposed to be over there in August in that area. We will talk about that again on one of our society calls. I think I told you August 15th is when we're planning on starting all of that. But I do plan on coming to Croatia and Slovenia and Hungary and some of those countries soon. So I can't wait to meet your family.
Absolutely.
So take care. Have a fantastic day. And I appreciate you so much. Thank you, Tina.
Bye. I love you.
I love you too.